Shirley here with Jupiter point of Thales, and this is Moon Hour. Moon is applying to conjunct Saturn, and Saturn has moved to exactly sextile Uranus, 00 degree 24 Pisces, and we are in the 1 degree perfection orb. It's going to continue to accompany us through the eclipse in a couple of days, and ascendant is ruled by the Saturn, and the midheaven is ruled by Mars, which is 22 degrees Cancer. Um, Moon is applying to trine Mars, so I'm going to do a special episode, and I've already began to work with certain energy, and this is honoring of actually an artwork by Austin Kopok, a magical artwork called the Sovereign Coin, and and this is a thought experiment. This thought experiment might be very real. Um, I don't know if you want to try this at home, but I will make it as ethical and as can be. I'll begin with something that relates to relationships now that Venus is conjuncting Neptune, and end with something that is very related to currency and war. So, to begin, when I was in about the first degree, second year or so, I had a crush on someone whose girlfriend was a model, and I did not know like anything. And then the way I found out is simply that he tried to flirt with me, and so we didn't have the same sense of humor, not the same political opinions, and I don't know why, but that was very strange. In any case, um, what I decided to do with the story, other than to laugh at it because it was so funny, his girlfriend was like can you have it in more unreachable? But what I decided to do with that was to have a thought experiment. Let's say that I would get the guy. Okay, would I be happy with the result? Let's say that guy was single, and I'm sorry. I thought you were going to find for a second. No, let's say that guy was single, and that guy would want me, and I would in that way I would get the guy. Okay, let's say he was head over heels into me. What would then what would be what happens in that scenario? And in that scenario, I discovered all of my relationship issues. What is where is the problem for me receiving love? Okay, and I began to tend to that. I began to tend to self-love. It was to Teal Swan at the time, and I liked it about because she was a survivor of a Mormon cult, which would play a huge part in my life in the future. And so that thought experiment itself released me from this completely unattainable, and not only unattainable, it's a person that absolutely did not share my sense of humor or political opinions or even strategy. Okay? And so um very grateful for that crush, but that was definitely about me tending to for what I need. And so let's play another scenario. A scenario has to do with currency. Let's say you think that I live on your account, whatever reason. And let's do something special because Saturn is about to approach Neptune. Give me one last gift. If I live on your account, give me one last gift. That gift is a drug that I take and I die euphoric death. I'm no longer your problem. You don't have to provide for me. How is your financial situation? Because I would do the same for you if I had accessibility. And that is another thing, because if people use, let's say, curses, you try to take me down, okay, then why? You think that I take something that otherwise you would have an abundance of? Okay, give me one last gift. Give me a drug that I take and immediately I die. Euphoric death. There are drugs like that, by the way. I am no longer a part of your equation from that point. And also, I'm not dissatisfied in the sense that, okay, you haven't caused any bitterness between us, you haven't really unleashed certain karma that will haunt you, or okay, that's the thought experiment. Otherwise, let me be, let me live. Don't come for my resources, don't come for anything. But if I disturb you on your way, provide euphoric death. This is a very important thought experiment. Upon the ingress of Saturn and Neptune to Aries for 15 years, the sign of war, Neptune makes war global. It also rules anesthesia, and Saturn rules death. There is nothing that is giving more mass death than Saturn Neptune, okay, conjunction during an eclipse in Aries with Rahu. Okay, this is the closest. There's nothing that's giving more mass death than that. How do we do mass death if we do it? And if we don't do it, then let people live. If we end slavery, okay, we abolish slavery, we'd see how much of our economy was based on slavery. just like that scenario where I had a crush on somebody totally incompatible with me, and not only that, his girlfriend was a model. She was a beauty queen, mind you. I have no chance. There's no chance. Okay? And then I made a thought experiment. What if that person had no girlfriend, or for some godforsaken reason thought that what he has with this beauty queen is not what he has with me, and would want me? Okay? What would then be my problem with the prize? Many people, and let me tell you another thing. We had a Dean dog, Danish, not our family, and they would always chase like rabbits or cats and stuff like that. And one day they caught a cat. They just caught a cat. The Dean began to cry and not know what to do with that. Because the thing is, I had a Newfoundland dog, okay? He went after a rabbit, and the tenderness in which he killed the rabbit, and I was bothering him, and then it was a problem because he would kill the rabbit. This was more humane because that was his food, but he would save a kitten. He knew how to hold the rabbit and how to kill the rabbit more humanely, because that was his food. That was genuinely his food. Now, on Earth, there are people walking that have been severely tortured and have been taught to kill rabbits. But rabbits are not their food. They've been told the rabbit or your friend. And they've been taught to beat the rabbit and kill. But the fact is that those people, some of them are used to kill people that are absolutely not their food. And for no good reason. And some of our economy is based on the cloning, torturing, and creation of these kids. Now, what happened if we abolished this project called Expandable Children, cloning, and MK Ultra, or Gate, whatever? Let's make a thought experiment. What would our economy look like? What would our economy look like if it was not reliant on slavery? In Uganda, villages, 12 years old children, with the help of the community, when a teenager grows, they don't want their parent interrupting, then the entire community, with it, they build in their own house. Those 12-year-old kids, they help and learn how to build their own houses. They have a house. It's not huge, but they have their own house at 12. They put the kitchen away from where they sleep, not in the same house, in different house. And the bathroom as well, which can be annoying because in the middle of the night you can wake, but that's how they chose it. It's a technology. Compare that to the real estate business that is based on slavery and doesn't save you the house squires. Anybody that had a dishwasher knows you work for your dishwasher. It's assisting you. It removes something, sometimes removes the hard stains, but you have to work together. You know, these child assassins, they have handlers. They have to train the handlers. Like, this slavery business is very enslaving to everyone involved because everybody has have to run it, and they have to keep the people in trauma so that they can mind control, but they also have to keep the mind controllers in trauma because they try to get the people to act for against their wish and against their own good, and try to get many people to do that at the same time. I think we had a leader in the United States that said you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. This is the time in history where certain factors try to fool all of the people all the time. Now Saturn is also applying to sextile Pluto. This is Pluto is about execration. Saturn rules Pluto. We execrate that which is we execrate curses. It's a great exorcism, by the way, because Pluto is in the nervous system, community, ideas. If your path is made of taking people off their path, then if I have to pick a job, and this thought experiment in that sense is very real because I had to pick jobs, which means I had to say a lot of no to get to where I can say yes to. And in those jobs, my job was to take people off their path. It began with um, a credit card company where they expected me to take people off track when it came to their expenses and monthly returns. They expected me to get people into loans and get them in debt, which I said no to. And not only I said no to, were the only opportunity that was given to us, and I immediately got it because I hated debt. Okay? And I definitely did not like the idea of getting people into debt when they haphazardly, when they don't notice that they got into debt. And so I was the one that developed the screenplay. When you are having conversations, a sales conversation with the client, there's a screenplay. And I was the one that developed the screenplay for where we had people that were limited in their monthly return to a loan that they didn't know that they have taken, that they simply get their card renewed. We give them, we off anything, they don't have to pay extra, and they can change for that monthly return, so they're no longer stuck in debt that they did without even ability to get rid of it, and that debt was their shopping that they didn't know was postponed. Now they could, of course, handle that in a not class lawsuit, but series of litigations. I did not have this information. What I did have was a card where you can set the monthly return, and in the previous product you couldn't. So that was kind of like the, you know, the bubble pop. And so I just said, well, your card is going to be renewed with the card that you can set your monthly return. I'm given an option, an opportunity for my client, and I'm improving upon the conditions that they have. Since I'm not a lawyer myself, and I didn't even know that they would have to litigate for the company. If I knew that at that age, they would get the call that would tell them to do that. I would say, this is what I have, this is how I renew your card, so you already can change for your monthly return. For that thing you didn't know you were setting, because the clients didn't know you're setting, well, if you all get a lawyer and you communally found for that, you can get that company to pay you compensation, not just as a class lawsuit, but also that it would be so expensive for the company to do that, that they'd have to think twice. And if you all unionize as people, there is a lot more force that you have. Now, I did not believe in power of community. I was always excluded from like communities. I was a standalone person myself, a great believer in sovereignty. But this is a story for when, right from the get-go, when I was supposed to be in those places that get people in debt without their knowing and then collect the interest, I refused to do that. So I'm particularly sensitive to, to currency scams that are not sovereign. I am 40, and I could design products, I could design artwork that is a product, that is talismanic, and that is this and that is that, and that came to me in series after series after series of skills, and I'm working with, but already something that has to do with sovereignty and currency. One thing is something that I made. It has to do with beta per se. Uranus definitely addresses all that I said up until now. And whenever I get something that somebody else did, it gets into the mix, and it's actually trying in the mix. So this is where you have to ask yourself, is your currency based on enslavement, slavery, trying to get people in debt? Because in astrology, Saturn rules karma. Now, Saturn is not my malefic of sect. Okay, I work with Deneb Algadi when I work with Saturn. Um, but he's ruled by my malefic of sect, and that malefic of sect is, it's not one you want to trigger. But Saturn also rules karma, and if I think about my karma from one of my first jobs, I was the person that not only refused to get people in debt, I left my job when they tried to get the new product, the new credit card, and tell people, well, I sent your monthly return for 400 shekels, let's say $400 for the, when your expenses are something between 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 monthly, or whatever would be the equivalent weekly in the US, and and you pay interest that the black market would envy. That was Leumi Card, and it's the daughter company of Leumi Bank. Leumi Bank would later have a CEO that would be exposed upon the Swiss scam, the Swiss bank, because the Swiss, they expose who are the people that have an account by them. That lady, I don't remember her name, was on that list. Okay, in my time it was not that lady. But I still refused to do that. And to be very honest, I loved the company. I loved working in Lumi Card because I liked the fact that the CEO sat to dinner with the employees, and we had good conditions. And then, if you wanted to study something, there could be a grant for some of the things. Okay, have to get. There were a lot of good things about that company. Overall, I say that I liked that company. Um, but when it came to our department, there was certain corruption. And not only that, I was allergic, and what I thought was allergy, and I was going to the bathroom, and there was my boss caught me through employee, not caught me, it was like the sun employee, and I was at the bathroom all the time, and they saw that something is wrong because I'm not a person who runs away from work. I would be the person who would train, would train for my screenplay, would train people, and when they didn't have enough sales, when there was an opportunity that was benefiting the client, I would make the sale calls for them on their list. So to get here, you got one, you got two, now you do the rest. Okay, I was not the person that was, and they were there. It was not like something illegal or anything. It's just something like gift that you give to your people. My boss knew it, and that trained employees. They later trained the customer service, and because that screenplay was so service oriented, it fitted the service people and not only the sales people. Because I caught on an option and I knew the limitation for this option, they later tried to take my technique and to do it with corruption. And so when it comes to my karma, in terms of currency and slavery and the sovereign coin, my karma is that I'm working with the sovereign coin, and Urano Beta Perseta has to do with what? Willing consent, and that connection to wealth. Because rape is blocking people's what? Wealth. Of both the rapist and the person that is the victim. The whole concept of handlers, you think, what happened to P. Diddy? Okay, he got his wealth, got his wealth, got his wealth, got his wealth, believed he could get away with that baby oil scam. Boom. Now you have to address what? The children. You either have to address the children or you have to address the children. And so if my karma was such that I gave up a job for my health, basically I could not do that. It was okay. So the thing is that it's not that I was sacrificing something by giving that job. I was saying no to corruption. is that I identified at the very young age, in my early 20s, that a corruption in your workplace creates mental and physical health challenges. At that time, I had a colleague, she said to me, you had inflammation in the throat. And she said to me, you need to speak your truth. I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, you must speak your truth because this is why you're sick constantly. The place that I would move to later was the same makler that now thought he could get away with this. And as far as I was concerned, if I was just living my life, I was like, what can I do? He's corrupt. But if I think about my karma regarding slavery or enslaving people, I was the person, if you think about Saturn ruling karma, I was the person that said no to slavery. Now Saturn is sextile in Uranus and Uranus is on Beta Persei. If your currency is slavery based, and not only that, I have not been giving readings to people and have not been offering certain services because I was thinking of what currency. The currency needs to be cleared, needs to be changed. The currency that is not based on what things that Saturn rule. Curses, satanic abuse, or ritual abuse. Okay, it doesn't have to be satanic. The church does it too. I mean, it's the Bank of the Vatican. It all leads to Rome, right? You can hang the Pope tomorrow for war crimes, but you cannot litigate for the Bank of the Vatican. Rockefeller pays dividends, pays protection to the Vatican. Rothschild pays protection to the Vatican. Khazarian Mafia. Okay, those of them that are not in the Bank of the Vatican pay protection to the Bank of the Vatican. What else do you want? Hamas pay protection to the Bank of the Vatican. Don't ask me about NATO. I don't know. But it's very likely that directly or indirectly they have to pay protection to the Bank of the Vatican because they're being funded in some way. That means your countries and royal family, they pay protection to the Bank of the Vatican. Now again, I would never talk about this. I would never think about this if I didn't wake up in the middle of the night trying to remove a course that targeted my bracelets. And you say, but surely those crystals, the rocks, they're based on the slavery. I'm like, when I have this rock, I can bless the people that worked, whether it's Madagascar, whether it's with countries that I would never have connection with. I can live, okay, when we change with the economy, without the rock. If we have to today abolish slavery, the butterfly effect, instead of butterfly, paper clips and stuff, but the butterfly effect of that would be that one of two things. Either I wouldn't need to work with that rock on like an emotional issue, or or that rock would not be using for that, or I would be able to obtain that rock ethically. But the other thing is that I would maybe travel to those places and would be safe there. And so the rock would be something that the people mine and make art, local art from, like a serpentine is a stone that Inuit people make art from. Okay, also fresh sea pearls. I know there's fresh sea pearls. It's not everybody's. Okay, but everybody has their own thing. But the thing is that the day that they say there's no longer mining with child labor, I'm good. If I wanted to make an ethical crystal company and sell you ethical crystals, I would have to break the corruption to get to the actual miners. There are levels of corruption there. You can get all the way to the manufacturer, but not it's the person that cuts the crystals, but not the person that mines them. I have been tending to that. I have been working with crystals, making people aware of the need to tend to obtaining the crystals ethically. And not only that, those crystals are assisting in those issues that are the side effects of slavery. And not only that, if it would be those children that worked in those mines, well, like as far as I'm concerned, they can have the crystals. And they would have the crystals with the energy of a person that went through a process, a healing process with them. Now, would they have it compound? So if I'm thinking about my Saturn karma when it comes to currency, and now Saturn is sextile in Uranus, so we have changes of currency. And this again is going to YouTube. Then I see something very obvious. I was the person that said no to slavery, to enslaving people. I was the person that went out and bought rocks when I did not have enough money for food. What was the hidden curse or the hidden thing that is difficult to diagnose that was affecting my health? Maybe it was something in the water, maybe I don't know. Because rocks is Saturn, and Saturn rules what? Karma and curses. And I said, well, at least I will look at the rock and I would appreciate its beauty, and I would not think about food or about what in my next meal or my addiction to coffee because I did not have enough money for food when I was studying and there was no job on the market that could provide for me in a way that is healthy for me. Another thing that happened in that Lumi card job is that I had this allergy, so I was going to holistic healer from, by the way, the HMO. And she, knowing nothing about me, gave me a list of vitamins and diagnosed my tongue and so on. She said, you must create and you must write every day, because I would wake up every day angry to work. She said, you must be creative, you must paint, and you must write. This is expression. And this is true. I was very grumpy at, at that credit card company. I was useful in the beginning as long as there was an option to not be corrupt, but I was very grumpy. I was a person that was impossible to work with, to be very frank, towards the end. I would see my boss years later, and he said, I remember you like those things of like aromatherapy or like this or like that. He didn't remember my name, but he remembered that I was not fit for all this stress work, and I have to be in a place where I can create and express myself. Like most people, and there's different ways of expressing themselves. So when it comes to, again, what is my karma? My karma is I said no to corruption, I said no to slavery. When there was an opportunity to ease people's from debt, I made a venue, a venue, a venue, and a revenue for myself, my colleagues, people that I didn't even know, and saved basically an entire, so that they would say, but I don't see that I saved the entire place from being shut down. For the new card, it was the flag card. You can still see it. It's the multi card. It's this white card. It's a good looking card, but what it's designed to do is get people in debt without noticing. And that's not how you use credit. Credit is leverage for investment. Let's say I identified an opportunity and I can't buy it, but I can buy the option to gain from that opportunity today with leverage. Okay, and okay, I have the ability to return the leverage. Okay, I have like a steady job and so on. That's not the problem. I can return the leverage even if that won't the payment won't return itself. But I'd rather have the opportunity now and have the leverage and then cash in a way that returns with a monthly fee, or with the compound interest, and that means that my investment yield. It's a risk of opportunity, but that's the meaning about opportunity. Is how we use leverage. Is how we use credit. You would have to have preferably the cash flow, or for the common person, the steady job, and the economy has to support that. That brings that cash flow, so you can create leverage. You buy leverage. When you buy a loan, and because you found an investment opportunity. Okay, for example, this month, okay, I decided there was this something made with gold that is, with the imprint is from Great Britain, but it's the imprint is of something that looks like God Poseidon with the symbol of Neptune. And I said it's a fantastic thing to buy for the eclipse. Um, the eclipse could eclipse it away, I don't know, but it's fantastic investment opportunity that could yield Neptune time returns. It's just something small that kind of like the people that bought Bitcoin when Bitcoin was okay. And so, to identify that opportunity, I use the leverage that I have, which is, okay, whatever income, and that would mean that for food this month, I don't really have. But I use that leverage, Okay, it means it does. There is some food in the house. There is some things that, but that leverage was an opportunity that when Neptune ingresses to my second house, I might not have, or certain rocks, right? Crystals. That's the crystals that are mined. Okay, um, that are not only investment opportunity but healing opportunity that I have been trying to get for years, and I managed to get them. Was this opportunity, and that is of course affecting my this month. But as Neptune ingresses into my second house, I will have to surrender my ability to invest. Okay, my ability to spend money. So this is a way that you would use leverage. Now, when I see it as investment, I see it like growing a tree. If I think about like my Saturn karma, then that the most I could do, what I practically did, I even tried to tend to the issue of food to get the best food for my nervous system. It's not a lot of food, but if I have some sprouts with the niacin or stuff that can keep me grounded, or carry the iron drops or stuff like that, then I got the basics covered, and I don't compromise my health too much, and I don't compromise my investment too much. I just kind of got it pretty much neat and clean and um, so perhaps my karma is I need to get my hair done. Or perhaps my karma is I would need to tend to a dentist that is actually good dentist. But teeth have a lot to do with karma, right? Now those people whose sometimes their karma has been that they were invested in slavery. Okay, that would be the time to go short on that, not to try to curse the people that have been invested in sovereignty, for their sovereignty, but also other people's sovereignty. Saturn Mars will also have to do with litigation. My karma around litigation is that I refuse to litigate a person whose whatever they did was a structural problem, that they were a member of a certain cult. That was infiltrating the system of justice, the this, the that, okay. But the thing is that I was refusing to go to the off with their heads, and not only I was refusing to do that, I was investing in trying to get help for me and see what stems from my childhood issues, what made me a match to meet this person. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I went to freaking therapy, and then another therapy. Then I bought some rocks to love myself. Okay, I love myself, love this, love that. There's just rose quartz, there's this morganite, there's kunzite, and so on. And then I learned aromatherapy because the therapist got something that looks like an electric shock in front of me and started to be violent to me. So I said, who would believe me? But so I went to study aromatherapy, and I would get another way to love myself and to treat myself, okay, with this rose oil or essential oils and so on and so forth. And I say, first of all, I have to curate myself because there's no problem. Litigation is not about punishment and it's not about persecution. I know they call it persecution, but it's not about persecution. I like to address Chris Warnock, who is a civil litigator, and he said it's a way to get the attention of the person to get them to do right. That's it. That's the role of litigation. Self-expression is a part of healing. It's telling your truth. I knew that when I worked in Low Me card, so I practiced that when I needed to practice that. And it outweighs any consideration because if I need to heal from something, the harm that somebody did, and it's the expression, outward expression, that releases those energy blocks, then it's my life because it's a medical value. That also means that I, by chance, learned to take care of my health. So I was exposed to the scams of investment. And that also means that I went in favor of, for the people that dealt with psychiatric institution, or basically what causes what people call a psychiatric ailment or a mental crisis, by trying to bridge it to people that we are your 401ks, okay? You think that it's the weather of the market and the weather of the this and the weather of the that, and anyone like that is a class lawsuit that is won against another company. And that's your investment that in the end, with the weather and the weather and the weather, when it comes to the money time, you have to liquidate the assets, it doesn't yield. And there are times where you can break that investment. So that's the weather of the market and your moods. And if you are invested in that, okay, now would be the time to go short on it. Even if you so much as tend to it now, then it's not about paying up your karma. It's like it's not your fault. For most cases, you didn't know. Now that you do, there are masses of people oppressed because of that. And Neptune rules what? With whistleblowers, artists, and healers. It also rules double agents, spies, and organized crime. Drugs prescribed or not, psychiatry, but also surgery for the anesthesia. In any case, I think we understood, we set the record straight that to target a person like me, even if Saturn is next to this or next to that, okay, yeah, you have to look at the karma. even with Saturn that is not of the sect, the person can sometimes get good results. And I was not doing things because it pays up to be this or pays up to be that. I was not, it causes inflammation. Those things that they torture people to do, it causes inflammation. It causes, what is rose essential oil? It contradicts the SSRIs and the things you take for sleep that also make for you sleep down there. But what is rose essential oil is highest frequency of love. And so with these things, when you use that correctly, right? Hey, that's Saturn. When you made it, and you want to think about it, Saturn sextiles Uranus. If you have significant points around that, you want to think about the situation. Is karma is just the accumulation of our actions over time. Now again, there are some people that were born in certain cults. Okay, and if you knew the amount of torture to get people to Epstein, you would grow belief in the human nature, because it takes so much investment to turn the human nature upside down and to keep it upside down, that you would grow to believe, not unlike John Locke, that people are born free. And in their nature is not good or bad. They are born free. And they can grow to have kindness if they grow in conditions that where kindness is at least not rewarded, or rewarded with something that is extremely malefic, over they would grow. But to grow them to be evil takes tremendous investment of tremendous energy, and most of the people die. So that would grow. You grow, when you understand it, you grow very fond of human nature, in essence, because people are essentially not at all inclined to evil. To breed them to be inclined to evil, or to take joy at evil, or to see everything as a victory or loss, takes such